Bedtime used to be my favorite part of the day with my daughter, Ava. She's 5. All curls, giggles, and questions about the moon. Every night, after a long shift at the cafe and another argument with myself about how life turned out, I'd tuck her in, brush her hair off her tiny forehead, and watch her drift into sleep. That night felt no different until it was. Ava held her ragged teddy bear close and smiled that sleepy little smile that melts my heart every time. She whispered, "Guess what?" Ava yawned, half asleep. "Daddy's friend," she said innocently. "She made us pasta. Daddy said not to tell you because it's a surprise." That last line, "not to tell you," cracked something open in me. I kissed her forehead, whispered goodnight, and walked out of the room with my heart pounding so loud it felt like thunder in my chest. Because deep down, I knew. Kids don't invent details like that. The hallway light flickered as I leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. A house, a woman, dinner, and my ex, Noah, who'd been telling me he was too busy for weekend visits. He was the kind of man who could lie with a straight face, charming, calm, always one word ahead of the truth. I'd spent years telling myself he'd changed, that the teenage boy who left me pregnant and scared had grown up. Guess not. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the fridge and the ghosts of old promises replaying in my head. Noah always said he wanted to be better. He'd cry, say Ava was his whole world. But now my little girl was sitting in another woman's kitchen, being told to keep secrets from me. That wasn't just betrayal. That was poison. When I first met Noah, I was 16, and he was the kind of boy every girl wanted but shouldn't trust. Wild smile, broken dreams, and a way of talking that made you believe you were the only person who mattered. He made me feel seen, until I got pregnant. And he vanished. He came back when Ava was 2, swearing he'd changed. I wanted to believe him. Maybe because I was tired, or maybe because a small part of me still loved him. We tried again, quietly. No big promises, just for Ava. And for a while, it almost worked. Until lies started dripping in again, slow, steady, and poisonous. The next morning, I brewed coffee and set 2 mugs on the table, one for me, one for him. Noah walked in, smelling like his cologne and something faintly floral that wasn't mine. His phone was in his hand, like always. "Hey," I said, casual as I could. "Ava told me about the lady with the cat. Sounds like fun." He froze for just a second, but that was enough. Then he smiled, too fast. "Oh, that," he said, brushing it off. "She's just a coworker. Needed help moving stuff. The cat kept Ava entertained." I stared at him over my cup. "Funny," I said softly. "Ava said she made you dinner." The smile slipped. His jaw tightened. "Leah, don't start. You always twist things." That's what he did. Flipped the story before I could even finish mine. I nodded slowly, pretending to let it go. "You're right," I said, smiling thinly. "I'm sure it's nothing." But inside, I was burning. For the next week, I played the role. Friendly, calm, collected. But every text he sent late at night, every call he took outside, every time he showed up smelling like something me. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my cousin Layla. She's one of those girls who always knows someone who knows someone. The kind who gets things done quietly. "I need a favor," I told her. "I need to know where he goes when he's working late." She didn't ask questions, just said, "I'll find out." 3 days later, my phone buzzed. There were pictures. Noah walking into a small apartment complex downtown. A woman, blonde, maybe 30, standing by the door with a white cat in her arms. And then another picture. Noah sitting at her table, laughing. But the one that broke me was the last one. Ava, sitting on that woman's couch, the cat curled up in her lap. My baby, in her home. I stared at that picture until my vision blurred. Rage, grief, and disbelief tangled inside me until I couldn't tell which was which. He wasn't just cheating. He was parenting inside his lie. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. When pain hits deep enough, it stops being loud. It becomes cold, sharp, focused. I decided that if Noah wanted to play house, he'd do it under the light, not in the dark. So I invited his parents over for dinner. Noah thought I was softening. He even kissed my cheek and told me I was doing better lately. He had no idea I was about to pull the rug from under him. Dinner went perfectly at first. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, laughter that sounded almost real. Noah was charming. His mother adored Ava. And for a while, I could almost pretend everything was fine. Then, as his dad poured more wine, I smiled at Ava and said sweetly, "Hey baby, why don't you tell Grandma about that fluffy cat you played with?" Noah's fork stopped midair. Ava's face lit up. "Oh yeah, Daddy takes me to the lady's house. Her cat sleeps on my lap while she cooks for Daddy." The room went silent. You could have heard the sound of my heart cracking. Or maybe it was his mask shattering. His mom blinked. "What lady?" she asked quietly. Noah's face flushed red. He stammered something about a coworker, a cat, helping with furniture, the same tired lie. But his father's expression told me he didn't buy a word. I sat there, smiling politely, as the silence grew heavy. Ava went back to her carrots, blissfully unaware that her words had detonated a bomb in the middle of our table. When the plates were cleared, and his parents finally left, his mother avoiding his eyes, Noah turned on me. "What the hell was that?" he hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of my parents." I leaned against the counter, calm as ice. "You embarrassed yourself, Noah." And then, before he could spit another excuse, I handed him an envelope, the photos. He went pale the second he saw them. "These are from a friend," I said. "Proof. Every visit. Every time you took Ava there." "Leah, please," he stammered. "It wasn't serious. I'll end it. Just don't do this." I crossed my arms. "You already did this." He started to cry, saying he'd change, that he loved Ava, that he'd never meant to hurt anyone. But I'd heard all of that before. When I was 17 and scared, when he promised he'd never leave again, when he said he'd grow up. This wasn't growth. It was rot. So I told him the one thing I'd been holding in. "I'm filing for full custody," I said flatly. "A man who lies to his child doesn't get to raise her." He looked like I'd hit him. But I didn't flinch. The court hearings dragged for months. He fought. Of course he did. But lies crumble fast under proof. The photos, the messages, even the statements from his own parents. It all piled up until the judge had no choice. Ava came home with me that day, and it felt like the air was lighter. We moved into a small apartment with peeling wallpaper and sunlight that hit the floor just right. Ava picked out pink curtains for her room. Her laughter filled every corner. Some nights I still wake up remembering that photo, her on that stranger's couch, holding that cat, and my stomach knots. But then I hear her giggle in her sleep, and I remind myself, she's safe. We're safe. Months later, on a quiet Sunday evening, Ava curled up beside me on the couch, her tiny hands wrapped around a mug of hot chocolate. "Mommy," she said softly, "I like our new home. It feels happy here." And just like that, every scar inside me eased a little. I kissed the top of her head and whispered, "Me too, baby, me too." Noah still tries to call sometimes, but I don't answer. Not out of anger anymore, but because I've outgrown that chapter. I look in the mirror now, and I don't see the girl who begged to be loved right. I see a woman who survived being broken and came out stronger. Betrayal didn't destroy me, it rebuilt me. And every time Ava laughs, that's the sound of victory. Because in the end, justice didn't come from revenge. It came from peace, and from knowing that my daughter will grow up in a home built on truth, not lies. Sometimes life doesn't give you closure. It just gives you a choice, to stay broken or to rebuild. And I rebuilt, piece by piece. The truth hurt, but it also set me free. Because now, when I look at my daughter's smile, I